The White House is reaching out to Nicki Minaj as it works to combat vaccine misinformation. CBS News Chief White House correspondent Nancy Cordes has the details.
Rapper Nicki Minaj is known for feuding with other stars like Miley Cyrus and Cardi B. But now she finds herself at odds with the White House.
Our hope is that anyone who has a big platform is going to project accurate information.
It all started Monday night when the unvaccinated singer tweeted, "My cousin in Trinidad won't get the COVID vaccine because his friend got it and became impotent. His testicles became swollen." Trinidad and Tobago's health minister debunked that the next day.
There is absolutely no reported such side effect or adverse event of testicular swelling in Trinidad, or I dare say, Dr. Hines, anywhere else? None that we know of anywhere else in the world.
White House staffers worried that the super bass singer with 23 million Twitter followers might give the vaccine a bad rap. By yesterday, Minaj was claiming she had been invited to the White House. The press secretary said, not quite.
Did the White House extend an invitation to Nicki Minaj to come here?
We offered a call with Nicki Minaj and one of our doctors to answer questions she had about the safety and effectiveness of the vaccine.
And Nancy Cordes joins me now from the White House with more. Nancy, why did the White House decide to engage with Nicki Minaj in the first place? And what do we know about her current vaccination status?
Hey, Lana. Well, they decided to engage because she is, simply put, one of the most popular female recording artists of all time. She's sold more than 100 records. She has a huge following on Instagram, on Twitter. She is someone people pay attention to. In fact, there was a small protest outside the CDC in Atlanta yesterday comprised of her fans, basically parroting some of the things that she had said. So there was a lot of concern at the White House that she might use her megaphone to spread things about the COVID vaccine that are not just untrue, but that have been really persistent rumors that they have been working to knock down. One of those rumors, of course, is that somehow the COVID vaccine causes impotence when studies have shown that there is no link between the two. And in fact, some doctors have noticed that men who get COVID itself end up with erectile dysfunction, at least temporarily, which is another good reason to get the vaccine.
All good reasons. As you mentioned in your piece, Nancy, there's some confusion over whether or not there will be a visit to the White House by Minaj. Is the administration open to having her come to Washington to discuss the vaccine?
I don't know that they're closing the door on it, but that just wasn't what they had offered to her team. They say that they reached out to her team, offering to connect her with a doctor at the White House to put them together on a phone call to discuss the vaccine. And before you know it, Minaj was saying on Twitter and on Instagram that she had actually been invited here to the White House to meet with none other than Dr. Anthony Fauci, the top medical advisor to the president. Now, that is something that celebrities have been able to do in the past, to come here to the White House, to meet with Fauci, maybe even to make videos with him. But usually that takes place when those celebrities agree with the White House and Dr. Fauci about the importance of getting the vaccine right away. But Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, really made a point of saying in her briefing that there's no bad blood here between the White House and the rap star. They do want to engage with her or any other big celebrity who has questions about the vaccine so that they can answer them and make sure to knock down some of this misinformation as quickly as possible.
Well, with nearly 30 million followers on social, she does have a megaphone and the ability to influence people. We'll see how folks respond after she herself gets vaccinated. Nancy, let's shift gears a little bit, because President Biden also addressed his economic agenda on Thursday, which he says will give an economic boost to middle and working class people. Tell us more about his plan.
Well, what he was really making the case for at the White House was not just his plan, which he has already outlined. It involves billions of dollars in spending on infrastructure, but also on health care, on child care, on education, on elder care. All told, these two packages put together are worth trillions of dollars. And what he was making the case for in this latest speech is the way that he wants to pay for part of those plans. He wants to pay for it by raising taxes on the wealthiest Americans and raising taxes on corporations. This is something that Democrats unveiled last week. They know that they have some colleagues who on one hand, won't vote for these packages unless they're at least partly paid for. On the other hand, they don't want to hike taxes too high on anyone. And so the president has a sales job to do, and that's what he was doing in that speech.
On Wednesday, House Democrats completed work on the actual text of the $3.5 trillion spending proposal, as you know, Nancy. But the House still needs to vote on the bill. So what obstacles stand in the way of it being passed? And how is the president addressing those concerns?
Well, the biggest obstacle, first, is that we haven't quite seen the package yet, so we don't know exactly how much it's going to cost. We haven't seen the final pay-fors, the way that they want to pay for the bill, how much of it is going to be paid for. And then the other big challenge is that Democrats are not going to get any Republican support, so they need to keep all of their Democratic caucus, all but maybe 3 Democrats on board to vote yes if they want to pass this legislation. And that's going to be the biggest challenge, because we hear a lot about Joe Manchin and Kristen Sinema in the Senate, 2 Democratic holdouts there. But there are moderate Democrats in the House as well who are a little uncomfortable with the size of this package. And there are also Democrats from some big states like New York and New Jersey who want to see a rollback of a cap on state and local tax deductions removed as part of this package. And we haven't gotten the details yet on whether that is going to happen. And if it doesn't, they may balk. So there's a lot of details here that are still to be worked out, and a really razor-thin margin if Democrats want to get this across the finish line.
All right, Nancy, thank you.
You're welcome.